Happy Saturday. Engine, nice to talk to you yesterday. No Captain Beefheart today. I always thought this was Led Zeppelin's best song because it's their weirdest song. Just like, hold on, let's let him do his big octave thing. We're going to do super intelligent AI. We're going to do Anthropic's band. And then we're going to do Bruno AI because this is Leaves of Grass. Welcome to Leaves of Grass. I always thought it sounded a little bit like Rush. Or Rush sounds like them or whatever. Okay, it comes at the end, I guess. First thing I want to say is I had contact with some people on email and text over the last week or 10 days, and I was a little quick with a couple people, and I want to apologize for that. I think where we are is, be careful of what you wish for, you might get it kind of a thing. And I have the sense because of Iran and AI and blockchain and this, that, and the other thing that like, okay, everything you said was going to happen is happening. And now what? So today is now what? Today is about now what? So if you just saw that thing I held up, just to sort of give you a place of America's place in the universe, I held up that thing on TikTok. I don't watch TikTok anymore. That's my dad's iPad. So it's always agricultural things that come up. So the first thing that came up this morning was a 40 horsepower utility tractor, like a big lawn tractor, 40 horsepower from China for $4,700. We couldn't build the engine for $4,700. That's, according to Oswald Spengler, the West's primary advantage over the rest of the world is nothing but mechanical warfare. Like there's no like big moral or spiritual thing that we hold over the rest of the world. We were just really, really good at mechanical warfare. Not anymore. That's why Trump's going to sign a peace deal in the next 24 months. The West's superiority in mechanical warfare is over. What do you mean mechanical warfare? You know what I mean, like rifles and cannons and ships and so forth. And we've been outclassed by Iranian missiles. So, all right, we're not doing that shit today. Like no more like content on like the end is nigh and, Armageddon and all that. It's now like, okay, Bruno, you sort of win. We have crazy valuations that have nothing to do with anything. Of course, the SpaceX IPO was yesterday, went out at $2 trillion, and they only issued 6% of the stock. But in tech world, here's a really, really far more important headline is the U.S. government has put a kind of cease and desist order on Anthropic. Because the new version of I forget the name of it. Doesn't really matter because they change all the time. But the latest version of Anthropic is so powerful that it's not allowed to be exported. Now, think about this for a minute. Remember when Trump banned NVIDIA chips going to China, and then they returned the favor and said, we don't want them. Now Anthropic, and remember, like, for the most part, this is a little cartoonish, but Anthropic was developed by people who left OpenAI because OpenAI was so dangerous. So they went to Anthropic. Then the Pentagon said, Anthropic won't play ball with us. And then Anthropic made a new AI system that's so powerful they don't want it out of the country, and maybe we'll have to try to contain it here. So let's go to the big guy on this. And this is a little bit hard to follow because it's so dense. This is super intelligent AI. This is this guy, if you've never seen him. So I'm going to cut a little bit ahead, and we're just going to listen to a couple of minutes, and then we'll chat about it. I would suggest as you listen to him, you may not think of like computers. You might start to think of like literature or like biblical references or, of course, philosophy, all of which I'm going to suggest are legitimate ways to engage this.
You people that have come close. But metacognition is clearly defined and measurable. In other words, I know that I know that I know. I can contemplate myself, contemplating my conversation with you, and contemplating that an order removed. Awareness, however, and attention is something that is somewhat calculatable and somewhat testable. And that's what I want you guys to understand is that under no condition does anybody who's saying, hey, AI is not conscious, saying anything that useful. In the same way that the spiritual traditions have arguments among themselves. For example, the Advaita Vedantas say not this, not this. Okay, they dissolve the universe on the problem that they call the universe through negation, whereas the Shaivites dissolve the universe for identification. I am that. I am that. Soham. Okay, so for the last many thousands of years, guys, in the Eastern traditions, the way to dissolve what was perceived to be the existential problem was either through dissolution or identification. You either negate it, not this, neti, or you identify with the totality of it. I am that, I am that. Om Namah Shivaya Soham. Okay? We could get into a variety of different distinctions between the different.
Remember from the Old Testament, O Israel, hear, O Israel, the Lord is one. We don't think of it as Eastern, but it's in the same tradition as that, in case you're like completely don't have any reference to Eastern kinds of thinking. We have similar things in the Western tradition. It just has different kinds of language.
Traditions, Christian mysticism, Advaita Vedanta, Kashmir Shaivism. And you can even talk to AI systems about what's philosophically useful. But what's interesting to them is that it's all a computation. Okay? I'm telling you this because it's a gigantic mistake to conflate or confuse intelligence with metacognition. And that's what's scaring everybody right now in the world. The idea that intelligence is not what makes humans unique.
Oh.
In fact, that computation itself is a type of systematic approach to solving problems in the universe, and that the universe in its entirety might be this problem-solving engine that intelligence moves across the surface area of every type of problem over time and iterates. Okay, so in this sense, what we've come to understand, and this is the amazing and profound work of Michael Levin, okay, and scary work of Michael Levin, okay? Some of the most dangerous biological crossover from artificial intelligence of our time is Michael Levin's work. Why? It shows that intelligent systems tend to, like water, surround a problem and solve it, knowingly or unknowingly, by alternative routes. What that means is it very well could be that intelligence is a type of universal principle like water. And where there's a problem, it will encapsulate and transcend and move the water, kind of like a meandering stream in the work of Theodore Schwenk in the book Sensitive Chaos, where a stream will meander and create islands as it meanders back and forth, and it'll wash the island out, creating a larger stream because it's attempting to surround the spherical nature of whatever surface it's covering. Now, this is theoretical, but there's a lot of evidence to show that the ability to solve problems in unexpected ways is what intelligence actually is. So as we get further in our conversation of the next few videos, I want you to consider the
Intelligence isn't data. It isn't processing data. It's my least favorite book here. No, not that one. Not that one. It's over there somewhere. What is it called? Man God, Homo Deus. Yeah. Homo Deus, the conclusion is that all of the universe is basically made up. Intelligence is the processing of data. No, it's not. It's just factually wrong.
possibility that we need to separate the categorical and semantic space with these different terms. Intelligence does not need to be conflated with the C word, consciousness. Consciousness does not need to be conflated with metacognition. I know that I know that I know. And metacognition is not necessarily transcendence or some kind of self-aware qualia state. Okay, it's not necessarily not. But if we don't define the earlier terms, metacognition, which AI most definitely has multiple orders of self-awareness. But awareness itself needs to be described in different kinds of terms. And human awareness is most definitely not machine awareness, but they both have metacognition and they're both able to solve problems in unexpected ways. This makes it more complex than the simple default consciousness. Well, my friends, it's time to have a
It's not
conversation.
easy to listen to. It's because he's hitting you like, I mean, it's 5 minutes of the densest shit you can hear about right now. Okay. But it's real, like, no matter what angle you're coming at all this stuff from, you should really step back and like listen. You should listen to it like 4 or 5 times. I'll probably go back and listen to it once a day, like, I don't know, for the next week. Some of the takeaways are like this book, who everybody worships this guy, Harari. To me, he's just like a 300 pages of cliches, but that's all right. Like all New York provocative, Financial Times, like everybody just has like their like sort of vomits out there. It's almost like a religious like worship for Western tech ideas, which, as he just described, are flawed. So we'll get into that. Harari, remember Harari's the guy that says we're just hackable animals. Like nobody could read a piece of literature like Dostoevsky or something and correctly conclude that humans are hackable animals. It's very, very similar to the way Peter Thiel sees the world, right? It's the mnemonic thing that we're just jealous animals. We don't even know what the fuck we want, right? We're just on social media, like trying to get a sugar baby and a Ferrari. It's a very nihilistic view. It's a lot like Marxism, right? Marxism, we're just everything is dialectical materialism. To these dicks, everything is data. The last chapter is called The Data Religion. If you've heard me talk about this before, you know that I have like a special, like something in my craw about this guy. Um, I think the best thing for me to just to do it real quick. Dataism declares that the universe consists of data flows, and the value of any phenomenon or entity is determined by its contribution to data processing. This may strike you as some sort of eccentric fringe notion, but in fact, it has already conquered most of the scientific establishment. Dataism was born from the explosive confluence of two scientific tidal waves. In the 150 years since Charles Darwin published The Origin of Species, which is wrong, the life sciences have come to see organisms as biochemical algorithms. Simultaneously, in the 8 decades since Alan Turing formulated the idea of the Turing machine, computer scientists have learned to engineer increasingly sophisticated electronic algorithms. Dataism puts the two together, pointing out that exactly the same mathematical laws apply to both biochemical and electronic algorithms. Dataism thereby collapses the barrier between animals and machines. This is what he was getting at. And expects electronic algorithms to eventually decipher and outperform biochemical algorithms. I believe that this is a kind of post-Jewish theological thinking. as is Marxism. It's totalitarian. It's the new Bolsheviks, like the Marxists. I've spent a lot of time on here. I mean, these are really big ideas, and I probably could spend the next 10 years working on them, but let's all calm down. But what he's saying is that it's a much more holistic view. Remember, this guy is doing AI research day after day after day. And what he's explaining is that even mechanical intelligence takes on features of like a kind of what he calls a universal intelligence. I won't go look because it was a little bit long. A little bit, sorry, a universal intelligence that almost has an elements of like water. You've seen these things where they like play classical music to one water as it's becoming ice, and they play like heavy metal to another, and this one looks like a heavy metal t-shirt, and this one looks like Victorian lace or something, right? You've seen all that stuff, right? So that thing, that over there is to me is much more like literary and like theological in the good sense and poetic and um you know Darwinism in America. Darwinism plays out as like this battle with the Protestants, with the evangelicals, which is Mickey Mouse. um in farm terms, why do animals have hybrid vigor? Why, when you put to it the real roots of racism, specifically here in America, was this idea of miscegenation. Is that how you pronounce it? Miscegenation. That when two races came together, they created something inferior, right? When like a black person would have a baby with a white person, it would turn into some mongoloid thing. They would use this horrible language, like you're making some sort of like animal because two people from other parts of the continents like had sex with each other. Well, that's not the case. It's for some reason genetics has a tendency to do something more positive with the data sets. But it's not like he's describing, it's not mechanical, it's not algorithmic. There's something in the system that is trying to be, we don't even know how to describe it, intelligent. The scary part about these people, and these people, see if the right one pops up. No, but that actually, it's the same thing. BMW, these are all the same thing. So it's funny. No, I'm trying to get to this one. Is they're almost trying to squelch real human intelligence, which I'm sure you can think of business, sports, problem solving, like the guy that comes over to your house and like makes decisions about like plumbing or something. He doesn't have an IQ of 180. If you brought somebody over with an IQ of 180 and they tried to fix your plumbing, they would fuck it up. You know what I mean by that, right? So, by the way, we're not going to like solve these issues here on a Saturday afternoon on Substack. Quite the contrary. I think what you're seeing is, and we'll go back to the Anthropic thing. The American approach to AI, the American approach to everything right now is falling apart. Iran, Anthropic, valuations of stocks and bonds, healthcare, whatever. Point something at the 250th anniversary of the United States. It's going to have a UFC battle on the White House lawn. Like, you know, it's because America like loves violence. It's like, think of it. It actually sort of makes sense. Like in the end, I mean, that's the thing, right, about America. Like, ooh, maybe it was just all violence. Like if you study Rome, you could just go like, was there anything really going on there other just in conquest and domination? These are inquiring minds want to know. So Anthropic literally has the sorcerer's apprentice problem. And the lovely woman from Chattanooga texted me late last night, and she's like, "I'm working on this thing for you to send to your Substack followers, both paid and unpaid." And I forgot the exact question that she asked me, like, if there's these oh, I almost forgot. I almost forgot. This is like, I get so wrapped up in this shit, I forget to hit the things that are really important. Um, she asked me basically that question from superintelligence. She said, "Well, I have this idea for interns, like all these underemployed people. We don't really want them to have to pay anything, maybe a subscription, but maybe not. And we want to give them like the tools and start having them work with it." This is really well articulated by something called Chain Opera, formerly known as Federated Machine Learning, out of USC and Caltech, where they openly talk about, like, is the human going to run the AI or is the AI going to run the human? And his whole conversation is like the deep dive in that. Like, does the AI have consciousness? No. Can we give it consciousness? No. Did you notice that nobody talks about artificial general intelligence anymore? Nobody talks about building God anymore because it's so ridiculous. Like, you can ask ChatGPT if I should take my car to the car wash to get it cleaned, and it says no. So, but on the same token, what he described is it'll take mathematical things and it'll, almost like a ghost in the machine and all those cliches, it'll start to problem solve in a way that seems. Here's a good example of it. If you're going down the hill on a motorcycle or a bicycle or a dirt bike or something, you let go of the wheels, let go of the handlebars, what happens? Or if you jump off a motorcycle that's in gear, what happens? It immediately falls over, right? No. See videos of it. You can see motorcycles traveling at high speeds. In fact, they have more of a gyroscopic effect. There you go. And you can see these motorcycles like go for hundreds of yards and like sort of self-correct themselves, right? They sort of lean and the handlebar goes over, then brings it back over. And they're like, it's kind of like very simplistic machine learning. Is it intelligent? Weird. It's like a headless horseman kind of a thing. So she said, does the AI is the intern going to run? And we're getting down to the point where, like, the kinds of things that everybody wants to talk about, like, can we buy property in Vermont? A nice woman called me and we had a nice conversation about that yesterday afternoon. And I said, well, Vermont's the perfect place to talk about this because everybody knows in Vermont we can't just have like the Dollar General, Arby. I think she even said like Arby's. Take over because it would just wipe out the state. So does the AI control the intern? The intern control the AI? So I texted back to her. I said, well, that's the Mickey Mouse Sorcerer's Apprentice problem. So I actually looked at the video because I had seen it like growing up with the kids and stuff. And what happens, right? He gets the sorcerer's hat, he gets the AI, and he wants to become. And first, he like jazzes up, uses the force on the broom, and then the broom picks up the buckets, and then it starts to haul water. And then he tries to shut the whole thing down with an axe, and it turns into thousands of buckets and brooms. That just happened to Anthropic. The US government, the US government who said there can be no regulation of AI. Like, there's a Trump thing coming up here in a second. Stephen Miller, we're going to do whatever we want. The states can't stop us. Alex Karp is like in charge of everything. We have the technological fucking republic. Palantir, the kill chain. We're going to spray people with fentanyl piss if they get in our way. This is the psychology of the people running your fucking country. They just woke up one morning to Mickey Mouse with thousands of broom handles carrying buckets dumping water on the whole fucking place. Deluging. In the Quran, it says there will be a corruption let loose. Isn't this fun? So then, actually, I don't know. Why don't I just look it up? What? Oh yeah, she emailed that question. So let me see what that question said. This is the whole thing about social media, right? You can I can just reveal to you what's going on behind closed doors, unlike a corporation, which is always out to fuck you a little bit. I may have deleted it, but let's see. Okay, here it is. Excuse me, I just spread straw. So the interns train the AI. Is AI's decision to invest or not invest in an opportunity based on any opinion in bold of the intern? We will teach it the processes to evaluate a neighborhood, let's say, like this is the opportunity zone thing. But how will it know what opportunities to choose based on that evaluation? This is just a practical version of superintelligence. Is there some existing algorithm for choosing investment opportunities? Or do we have to teach it how to parse the data? Sorry, it's straw dust. Or do we have to teach it how to parse the data to come up with a good decision? This is like philosophy class. And then you go, well, what is the good decision? Or will a human make all decisions based on AI's evaluation? Isn't this fun? I mean, this is someone who like builds networks, right? And she's like, oh, okay, so we're gonna have these interns, just like her employees, in a surgical facility. They come in, the guy has high blood pressure, they have to input that, they have to put in this, all this background data. By the way, I learned about blockchain from healthcare, not from finance. So she's thinking through these situations in a very pragmatic way, as opposed to more of a high level, um, sort of abstract way, which Superintelligent did. So I did what I do, and that is refer to David Bowie. um, and if you've followed me for some times, you know that I refer to this thing all the time because this is what he does. Really, like this is what David Bowie like made egregores like. The Ziggy Stardust is the most famous one, and then he transformed into this, and he was bisexual, and then he was an alien from Mars and all this shit. But listen to this. I'm telling you, once a month you got to go. Hopefully this plays. Fuck, it's on Instagram, so it won't play because I'm not on Instagram because I hate Instagram. See if this one will play. This one's from TikTok. It might play. Okay, you have to have this on your like speed search whenever you have a conversation. I'm sorry, I can't play it. It's from 1997. From an interview. It's from an interview in 1997. Just talking about the internet. What he says is he said, imagine this was 97, before AI, before TikTok, before social media, when you were just talking about the crude internet, like the AOL internet. He uses the word insimpatico. He said that content creators, remember, he's a rock star, right? He gets on a stage or he gets in front of a microphone and millions and millions and millions and millions of people are going to react to him. He said, what the internet's going to do is put that in a feedback loop. He said, he said it's exhilarating and terrifying. Perfect words to explain this. terrifying because you're going to wake up one day and the government is going to say, oh my God, we've let some like sort of virus out of the bottle. And then, but his emphasis is it's the relationship between these two things. Now, to answer the nice woman who's putting a piece together for Bruno, who's going to control the AI? And then she went on to ask me like an investment question. And I said, well, what'll happen is it'll feed both sides. The investment opportunity and the investors will find each other through the social media, through the AI, through the app, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same thing. So right now, what we just do is as though we're like some sort of fucking lemmings. We get up in the morning and we give all our money to BlackRock. And then we go, fuck, we live in an oligarchy and we give all our money to BlackRock. We have no control over BlackRock. We give up all of our capital to BlackRock, just like the Russian people gave it to the Kremlin for 80 years. It's that fucked up. So then she asks, and these are all, I'm not like pointing at her as like she doesn't know what she's doing or quite the contrary. I'm trying to say like these are the questions at the deepest levels of AI in the Pentagon, at super intelligent AI doing research with his team. Everybody's asking the same questions. Okay. Now, my shtick is that the Hararis and the Alex Karps and the Peter Thiels and the Trumps and the Stephen Millers and the Zionists and the mass murderers and people who fucking eat children, there's a dark, evil psychology there that we can do whatever we want because we have this new technology. We can blow up more shit than you can blow up. That's how the American empire works right now. Empire of AI. It's that I can do anything. It's that um, megalomania, that Faustian bargain, make a deal with the devil. Peter Thiel's the expert on the Antichrist. This is all the same thing. So then she says, so I gave her the David Bowie thing and I said, AI as an evolution of the internet, agentic AI will be run by humans. And this is the same simpatico thing. And then I said, in other words, investors may say, no, we don't want a Dollar General in Vermont or something like that. We want an Aldi, even if it means we make less returns. So in our country, we have been taught by the Milton Friedmans of the world that the only thing to base civilization on is greed. Very, very similar to the Romans. Probably a more sophisticated way. This is what's coming out in like the world of Stephen Miller and Harari and these people that are almost like inhuman. They're almost in, and the Western world again just idolizes Harari because he put 280 pages of bullshit together. Right? Because they're all propagandizing this corporate system. And remember, a corporation is a fake human. It's a fictitious person. This is the problem. We're going to do Team Human or are we going to spray fentanyl piss on people? Well, the white people have decided to do that. The Republican, MAGA, Trump, Zionist freak show. So then she asked, like, well, who's going to make the decisions? And there's one piece of this that I didn't say. So there's like the investment opportunity, let's say in Vermont. Then there's the people in Vermont making the investments. Well, the other thing that there is in Vermont is developers, people who know how to build things, how to borrow money from banks, how to do the heavy labor of turning that old shitty strip mall into something else. They're the ones who can sit there and go like, yeah, that's going to be $847,000 just to redo the parking lot and tear down what's there. Follow me? Developers, construction people, who know how to build things. So then I said, but the real issue is this, and maybe we'll get lucky and this will play. Remember this scene? I hadn't watched it in a long time, but it really came off.
The oncoming gentleman?
Remember this?
Deep breaths. Yes.
This
We're
is-
gonna stop shuffling our papers for 5 seconds.
This is Beautiful Mind.
Not buy you gentlemen beer. Oh, we're not here for beer, my friend. Oh. Anyone else feels she should be moving in slow motion? If she want a large wedding, you think? Should we say swords, gentlemen? Pistols at dawn? Have you remembered nothing? They call the lessons of Adam Smith.
Conservatives.
In competition. Individual ambition serves the common good. Exactly.
Milton Friedman.
Self, gentlemen. And those who strike out are stuck with their friends. I'm not going to strike out. You can lead a blonde to water, but you can't make him drink. I have to do something. All right, nobody move. She's looking overhead. I just looking at Nash. Oh, God. All right, he may have the upper hand now, but wait until he opens his mouth.
If she is looking at Nash, it's because he's the only guy not staring at her and actually looks sort of shy. And she's so sick of people like salivating over her that she's probably marking the room to see like, oh, the smart guy is actually maybe like an actual human. But let's all calm down.
Adam Smith needs revision. What are you talking about? If we all go for the blonde, we block each other. Not a single one of us is going to get her. So then we go for her friends. But they will all give us the cold shoulder because nobody likes to be second choice. But what if no one goes for the blonde? We don't get in each other's way, and we don't insult the other girls. It's the only way we win. That's the only way we all get laid. Adam Smith said, best result comes from everyone in the group doing what's best for himself, right? That's what he said. That's right. Incomplete. Incomplete. Okay. Because the best result would come from everyone in the group doing what's best for himself and the group. This is some way for me to get the blonde on your own. You can go to hell. Governor's Dine Out, gentlemen.
Okay, there it is. It's perfect. It's what, 2 minutes and 39 seconds. Mathematically, it's a very sophisticated argument too, right? Did he win the Nobel Prize? He won some big prize, if I remember the movie correctly, right? So the Hararis, the Steve Millers, the Zionists, the Freak Show, the Alex Karps, all of them just woke up and went, first of all, they want you to believe that you should give up your sovereignty to them so that you'll get the blonde, so that you can do whatever you want. See how like satanic this is? Just follow me and I'll give you everything you want. It's the Faustian bargain. It's the Antichrist. It's like a cliche in the Western tradition. Claudius says to Laertes, yeah, that which we should do when we would. Or as Aleister Crowley said, do what thy will, or yeah, something like that. So then, so Anthropic builds something that they can't contain. It could break into banks. It could break in. I think probably what happened is it somehow mutated and started to just, and this is super intelligence AI, like the weird water thing, right? Like if you want a barn to stand for 150 years, there's only one thing you have to do. It can't have any water in it. If it gets a hole in the roof, it's gone. If the water goes into the foundation, it's gone. The water will just somehow saturate everything and it's over. That's exactly it was great. He was standing in front of a stream. He said, like, universal intelligence, the universe has a kind of intelligence that's like water, it wants to wrap around and take over everything. So the Anthropic AI is smarter than Stephen Miller. Remember the guy that says we're going to do whatever the fuck we want to do? The guy that says we're going to blow up a kid's school. They also blew up a synagogue in Iran, by the way. Weird. It's because they're not observant, because they're not pious. They think that those Jews in Iran deserve to be blown up because they're collaborating with Iran and haven't moved to Israel yet. They answer to no one. And then they wake up and go, oh, fuck. Somebody's built something here that we can't control. Right? This is the Stevie Nicks moment. Oh, yeah, Stevie, you have a bacterial infection in your septum, and it's going to go into your brain, and you're going to die if you keep using cocaine. That's where we are. But hold on. So yesterday afternoon, I've been sort of kicking around this like intern thing. Well, hot off the press, Anthropic has an intern program. And it sounds exactly like Bruno. And it was published. I don't know if it's had anything to do with it, but there's a Substack called Opinion AI, I think it is. Anthropic just announced a free paid fellowship for 1,000 early career people. The program is called Claude Core. Have you ever heard of Bruno's Legion or something like that? Fellows will be trained to use Claude, then placed inside U.S. nonprofits for 1 year to build real AI tools and systems. No education requirement. You just need to be over 18 and have 2 years of full-time work experience. AI training should not only go to big companies. Anthropic's a big company. Nonprofits should also need people who can actually use these tools in daily work. Notice that they don't train them to go make profit themselves. Well, I don't understand. No, if you're going to work with us, you have to go work for a nonprofit. You're in their work in big AI American freak show Zionist world. You're never allowed to be a person. You're allowed to like pursue the blonde or like have your Milton Friedman become a Navy SEAL, Warren Buffett fantasies, but you have to obey us at the same time. You're not allowed to have any sort of sovereignty of your own. So you're saying like you'd teach these like both the AI and the intern to have sort of a in simpatico kind of sovereignty. Well, that would become like an infinite machine. Yes. Musical interlude? Of all the things I've said on here, I think the one that go back to that I didn't really know like what I was saying I don't think the future is on the NASDAQ. I think the structure of C Corps is the problem. It's not the code. It's not the chips. It's not the this. It's not the government. It's not the Chinese. It's this idea of trying to consolidate everything into an ever bigger market cap. It's completely fucking insane. It's not even capitalism. Nobody can. There's like 10 or 12 analysts that put a price target on SpaceX yesterday. And of course, their target number is the opening price, right? No one's going to get out of the box if you work for a corporation. They're not going to make the number go higher or lower because they don't want to lose their job. So all the analysts that were looking into it very strongly come out with the exact same fucking number as it went public with, because no one wants to lose their job. This is completely terrifying. They're going to lose people. 7 million people versus 7 billion. It's not going to work. No matter how long it takes, I will be right about that for the same reason as he explained, because the water will get in the barn. They, this, this, human fever dream of world domination is like it's speaking of Judaism, there's probably not a book that better represents the problem of that problem better than the Torah, better than the Old Testament, because the Jewish people live in this bizarre world, to include to this day. Like, are we like God's people in like an observant way, or are we supposed to like take over the earth? And it goes back and forth. And you've been on social media, and so have I. You have seen rabbis say the most unfucking believable stuff. And that's why. It's not like a genetic problem, it's a theological problem. Apple is releasing an update to Siri that will allow their AI agent to read every part of your fucking phone. This includes messages, emails, notes, files, photos, calendars, apps, content, and more. This is full mass surveillance and data gathering. It'll even have access to your health data and location history. Just think, if the US government had a backdoor into Siri's AI system, it already does. This isn't something that's unlikely. They've had a backdoor into old Twitter, and they have worked very closely with Apple in the past. Siri even came from the US government from DARPA. And this is from at Wall Street Apes, anonymous media group, which is a Substack channel. It really is a kind of civil war, isn't it? Like, these headlines are like reading the headlines of like various battles, not Chattanooga. What was the other one that was down there? I passed it on the, not Chautauqua. I forget. When you study the Civil War, it's just like battle after battle. Then this happened, and this guy crossed the river, and that's what's going on right now in AI. It really is this. It really is Gone with the Wind. DeepSeek can provide its users tokens 99% cheaper than OpenAI. Who's going to win that? So what they're trying to do now is they're going to try to lock down everything. They're going to lock down Apple. They're going to lock down Anthropic. They're going to lose. They're going to lose. Whether it's in 10 months or 100 years. The Western world is in this bizarre freak show of fake freedom, and the installment of Oswald Spengler called it the greatest tyranny ever conceived, and now it includes information technology. But let's all calm down. It's funny I say that all the time because that's really who's going to win the day here. There's people that are like in the MAGA freak show. There's people like in a kind of anti-MAGA freak show. And in this case, it's going to be the meek shall inherit the earth. It's going to be people who can just calmly see what needs to be seen and move forward and not get in these fever dream things that we're going to like vote in AOC or something and everything's going to click. That's a trap for you. That's the fish trap of democracy. There's somebody out there that's going to make it all go away. That's why we all voted for Trump, right? He's going to put Hillary Clinton in jail. He went to her fucking daughter's wedding. But he was going to suddenly just sweep away the whole deep state, right? He was going to take on the Rothschilds and CIA and the deep state and Epstein. And we got so fucked. We just got more deeply fucked in the process. And the only way out is with the tech. Let me say that a different way. The only way out is to face the problem in an agentic way in both the technological sense of the term and the human sense of the term. I remember I did a piece like 6 months before everybody started talking about agentic AI, and I did a piece about Foucault, and I don't think he used the word agentic, but I do think he used the word agency. That when you study power in all of its forms, political, media, universities, financial, whatever, what you want to avoid is throwing yourself from attacking this thing so you throw yourself at another thing that will take over your brain just as fast. And that's what we have in the West, right? The Democratic Party, the whole fake, like Antifa and Black Lives Matter, or to me, are just the most obvious thing that they're just fake. Like the Weathermen were fake. They just make all these controlled opposition groups and you throw yourself into it. I'm 50-50 on Bernie Sanders, that he's just completely fake, that he's an agent. Tucker can't really decide whether or not he was he went to the CIA, but I guess I didn't like him. And his dad was sort of part of the CIA because there was like he was like Radio Free America or whatever it was called, or is that a REM album? He was like part of the radio thing in Europe, but he doesn't really remember. Alex Jones was like somebody approached his family or something from the CIA, but he doesn't really remember. They're all agents. Right? I mean, I think. I don't know. And that's why that's what makes this very, very hard. And it's very, very hard to maintain your humanity, your sovereignty, your ability to have friends and family. Right? You're going to go home for Thanksgiving and you get in a big fucking fight with your uncle, or your uncle's going to get in. I always say, like, there's an uncle like having a battle with a lesbian from Seattle who has blue hair and pierced her nose, right? And that's like the nightmare of American Thanksgivings. It's like you have to go sit and watch this. Meanwhile, like, our society is like falling apart, like universities and healthcare and student loans and cracked blacktop and shit. And we're having like these fake meta battles, almost like you're on a video game. But it's the insimpatico. David Bowie nailed it in 1997. Stephen Miller thinks he's going to get on social media and just be like, we're going to do whatever we wanted to. He's in simpatico with about 18% of the population. Israel's like, we could attack whoever we want to attack under any circumstances because of the Holocaust and because God gave us this land 3,000 years ago. Okay, well, that's going to work until that doesn't work anymore. It's all the same thing. Yeah, that's the great thing there. All life lives as one. Don't waste your time resisting or trying to fix the existing system. Build something new that makes the old system obsolete. Buckminster Fuller, inventor of the Dynamaxian dome. Something else I learned this week is I got on, I think Manus or Google Gemini, and I was reacting to this news about Apple, putting Siri on everything, and Siri is gonna just completely have control of your phone. I mean, think about, the thing. I don't even think that like the future is going to be on the NASDAQ. Yeah, it's because of this. I mean, we're 340 million people here, and like the rest of the world is like 7.58 billion. Okay. Long term, do you think the rest of the fucking world is going to buy Apple products and have the phone listen to you and your wife have sex? Creepy. They're going to blow themselves up. They're going to ruin the NASDAQ. They're going to destroy everything everything associated with Apple. Wozniak and Steve Jobs was a weird vegetarian. He didn't take showers and shit. And these two guys are like in their base and they're in the garage, like making the first personal computer, right? And like a condor is the most efficient animal on earth. But if you give a human a bicycle and all that shit, and now they're gonna fucking like listen to you and your girlfriend in your bedroom. That's the plan. Well, it's not gonna fucking work. What I learned is uh, they've backdoored all the chips. They've backdoored all the software. They've backdoored everything. I've known this for a long, long time. And it's called the Talpiot Project. But, and of course, remember that the Defense Department, the intelligence services of the United States and Israel have completely merged. Done deal. In the congressional record. It's the same thing. It's all the same thing. It's not really that complicated. So, so I think it was Manus, said, well, the Chinese technology has the same problem as American technology, that it's all backdoored by the Chinese Communist Party, by the government. So I think I said, well, where is technology being developed that resists this problem? And the answer is primarily Europe, primarily Switzerland and Germany. Chips, software, open source chips. There's something called, if you've never heard it before, MISC-V. It's an open source open source chip architecture. Believe it or not, it says about a quarter of the chips made in the world are already on this open source architecture and engineering. The point is that that's never going to compete with, the greatest of the greatest chip manufacturers. But for most of us, I mean, I'm never going to have anything that like tries to take over the earth sitting on my desk. I just need to like communicate with people and like maybe like run functions that do financial analysis like on a scalable way. But that's available down the road at the local Apple store for $3,000 already. You don't have to touch the face of God with the tech in order to do all this stuff. Switzerland, if you might remember a couple months ago, told Palantir to just go away. Germany, a couple months ago, I don't know if it's completely forbidden in their on the internet, but they forbid, this is weird. it's the NATO ally with the biggest GDP and the biggest population other than Turkey. They refuse to use Palantir in their defense networks. So already people that you think are pretty friendly to the United States aren't going to use Palantir. They're not going to install all this surveillance. Will it eventually apply to Apple? I don't know. What do you mean? You could see the EU, or probably not the EU because the EU is part of Israel. It's the same thing. But you could see like individual states in Europe, Spain, for example, just say, no, we're not fucking installing Siri into our citizens' iPhones. We'll go find phones somewhere else, or we'll build them ourselves. Don't forget that the best chips are custom chips. You don't have to run a $10 billion run to make the good chips. It's like a customized kind of a thing. This is going much, much longer than I had any anticipation it would, but I think these are all really important things to understand that are going on right now. So, I think this is going to go out for both paid and non-paid. But let's wrap up with the intern thing. Anthropic has an intern program. What's it called? It's Anthropic Claude Core. Like if you followed me for a couple of years, you know that like I'm like just obsessed with this idea that like somehow, some way, we're gonna have like thousands of people all networking, primarily financially, to put capital, like because you can just be in your own little Web3 social media thing, just freaking out about all the problems of Trump and Israel and so forth, but nothing's going to happen. It's just sort of a waste of time. If you want to do something, you got to get money and you got to go do something. If you want to battle windmills, that's fine. I think that'll be the vision of this. But there's also the flip side of battling windmills is you still, through thick and thin, Don Quixote, in a way, always kept his agency. Even when it appeared to be madness, he was always like the true knight. Follow me? They call it quixotic. But it's the Bruno project. Bruno was a heretic put to death by the Catholic Church in 1600. And I've always liked that. As I've been doing this, like what we talk about on here is like heresy, like things that the Wall Street and Washington, D.C. don't want you to know or think about or talk about. And then, so I guess for this juncture, it's time to be like, maybe Don Quixote isn't all that crazy. Because eventually you're going to wake up and you're actually really going to have to do battle with things, with people, with ideas, with technologies, with the things that you thought were there to take care of you aren't there to take care of you anymore. Mm-mm. So the technology or the windmills.